Hey everyone, this is Daniel Lee from Melee Science, and we're gonna do a mailbag. And so I got a bunch of, unfortunately, anonymous questions from my Ask.fm that I wanted to answer. So the first question I got was, is the Melee meta stagnating? And that's a really interesting question. I had a conversation with PPMD recently, who has taken a break over Melee just because of taking care of his personal health. And the good thing that he felt was that he felt like the game hasn't evolved a lot in the past 2 years, which will make it easier for him to come back to the game. And we've seen a lot more impactful SDI and techniques like shield dropping becoming a lot more commonplace in the past 2 years, but we haven't seen any dramatic shifts in terms of the way the game should be played. So in this current day and age, a lot of what's being done to improve gameplay is just mostly refinement and better decision making. We're not going to see anything in left field come out of the blue. Most likely not going to see another AMSA that plays this unorthodox character come in and say like, let's surprise everybody with Yoshi or a random character. The very likelihood of that is not going to happen. So yes, I think we've come to this phase where we're not evolving significantly, but it's more of a refining stage of Melee, where most people are just trying to nail consistency down with their punishes and make better decisions in the neutral game. And the second question that I received is, how many years does Melee have left? And I think that's a very interesting question just because of the unique structure of Melee and the unique history of it, and just how relatively unstable esports is in terms of what games rise and fall. Now, the biggest hurdles that we've gone over in Melee is the fact that we've survived 2 sequels. We've survived without developer support, and there are so many factors that could have brought us down that haven't. So what that tells me is that we're very resilient as a community. And the only thing that will really hurt us down the road is if just people get bored of the game. But when I look at Brood War and its renaissance and the general perception and the branding that Melee has in terms of its gameplay, it's really hard for me to see Melee dying anytime soon. Sure, we might hit a peak and we may not see continued growth in the sense of like having an additional 1,000 people enter a tournament every year. We've seen a little bit of a downturn with Genesis this year, but that was due to other factors, but we're still going really strong. And Melee as an esport, I can see it surviving at least 5 years. I would question if it could last 15 years, but I think like 8 to 10 years is like the sweet spot for me in terms of how many more years does Melee have left. And for the third question, what am I most looking forward to in 2017? So along those lines of Melee as an esport and how long it's going to last, one of the biggest swings we've had in 2017 is the sheer number of people who come to events not to compete as competitors, but to come just to watch the game. We've seen events like SmashCon, really catered to the casual audience. And what that really makes me think is, how can the community, leverage the fact that millions of copies of Smash Brothers have been sold, millions of people love Nintendo brands, and millions of people have probably played Super Smash Brothers sometime in their life. And we talk about how big our viewership is, how big our Reddit community is, but that's still an incredibly small fraction of the number of people that love Smash Brothers. So tournament organizers, event organizers are a lot more aware of this. They're more aware of local advertising to people that may not know about Reddit Smash Bros, about Twitter, or about competitive gameplay, and how do we reach out to those markets? And if they're able to tap into that, I'm really excited to see, if events, grow 2 to 3-fold just because of all the people that are interested in spectating the game. And that ends this edition of the Mailbag. We've been looking at all the comments and it's been very encouraging. Thanks for supporting Melee Science, and we hope to continue to produce awesome content in the future.